Gentlemen, immediately after the reception of your letters and pamphlets, I went to Albany to find the state of the lakes and established a correspondence with Dr. Joseph Young. I found the lakes impassable at that time. About a fortnight after I set out for Canada and arrived at St. John's in 14 days, having undergone almost inconceivable hardships. The Lake Champlain being very high, the small streams and rivers, and great part of the country for 20 miles each side of the lake, especially towards Canada, underwater. The Lake Champlain was partly open and partly covered with dangerous ice, which, breaking loose for miles in length, our crafts drove us against an island. It froze us in for 2 days, after which we were glad to foot it on land.
After an arduous journey to the heart of British-held Canada, John Brown, a Yale-educated Pittsfield, Massachusetts lawyer, sat down to prepare a letter to the Boston Committee of Correspondence, laying out what was happening in Canada at this time. He had been sent there to assess the various different factions in this British province, both the British administration, the French colonial inhabitants, as well as Native American powers, to see where they might stand in the growing tensions that were arising between American colonists and the British administration in the 13 colonies to the south. His assessment in this document provides us as historians today with an incredible glimpse into the broader colonial worldview on the eve of the Revolutionary War.
Governor Carleton is no great politician, a man of sour, morose temper, a strong friend to administration and the late acts of the British Parliament which respect America, particularly the Quebec Bill. All the troops in this province are ordered to hold themselves in readiness for Boston on the shortest notice. 400 or 500 snowshoes are prepared for what use they know not. 2 regular officers, lieutenants, have gone off in disguise, supposed to be gone to Boston and to take what discovery they can through the country. The French people are, as a body, extremely ignorant and bigoted, the curates or priests having almost the entire government of their temporal as well as spiritual affairs. There is no prospect of Canada sending delegates to the Continental Congress. The difficulty consists in this. Should the English join in the non-importation agreement, the French would immediately monopolize the Indian trade. The French in Canada are a set of people who know no other way of procuring wealth and honor but by becoming court sycophants, and as the introduction of the French laws will make room for the French gentry, they are very thick about the governor. You may depend that should any movement be made among the French to join against the colonies, your friends here will give the shortest notice possible, and the Indians, on their part, have engaged to do the same, so that you have no occasion to expect to be surprised without notice, should the worst event take place. The Indians say they have been repeatedly applied to and requested to join the King's troops to fight Boston, but have peremptorily refused and still intend to refuse. They are very simple, politic people and say that if they are obliged for their own safety to take up arms on either side, that they shall take part on the side of their brethren, the English in New England. They have wrote a friendly letter to Colonel Israel Putnam, in which letter they give their brother Putnam assurance of their peaceable disposition. One thing I must mention, to be kept as a profound secret. The fort at Ticonderoga must be seized as soon as possible should hostilities be committed by the King's troops. The people on New Hampshire grants have engaged to do this business, and in my opinion they are the most proper persons for this job. This will effectually curb this province and all the troops that may be sent here.
Before finally sending his letter, John Brown added one important postscript, saying that Governor Carleton in Canada had blocked shipments of wheat out of the colony. This piece of information was important to his correspondence, and he felt was an obvious indication of the British stockpiling provisions for future military action. As Brown and Carleton knew, tensions were rising, and time was ticking before bloodshed ultimately opened the American Revolution at Lexington and Concord in April.